Hi Deirdre, lovely to meet you. I'd love to hear a little bit about what the IDA is doing in Ireland and for startups.
Okay, so IDA is a government agency. We work with international companies that are looking towards Europe and encourage them to use Ireland as their launchpad into Europe. We work with some of the largest and most successful companies in the world, but we recently, in the last 2 years, set up a division to focus on startups and fast-growing companies to kind of target them at an earlier stage and I suppose to give them more hand-holding around their whole international strategy and again promote Ireland as the most ideal location in Europe to access the European market.
Fabulous, and I know I've had a bit to do with the Irish Enterprise Board, and they do some fabulous work with Irish startups and venture capitalists. So can you tell me a little bit about what your presence here in the Bay Area, like what that entails?
Okay, so we have a team here on the West Coast that again, we target companies of all sizes. We maintain very close relationship with our existing clients, everybody from here Seattle, Microsoft, Amazon, in the Bay Area, PayPal, Google, eBay, LinkedIn, Twitter, they all are clients of ours. So we maintain very good links with those at a corporate level to ensure that the Irish operation stays relevant to the corporate strategy. On the startup side, I am constantly looking to kind of target the next, the next Google or eBay or LinkedIn, and to get them to consider Ireland at an earlier stage of their expansion. So companies like Dropbox, Concast, Zendesk is another company here from San Francisco, Engine Yard, Marketo, all have used Ireland as their first international hub to support their international customers.
And it's a fabulous place to launch from.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
I know I was there for 13 years, but I know just before I left, of course, the big crash happened, and my daughter is married to an Irishman and suffered it for
poor woman.
For 7 years. So I'm just wondering how things are going, because it was pretty disastrous when it all started, and the second highest bankruptcy rate in Europe, and all the companies that were going down every day, I was like aghast. So I'm just wondering, obviously I'm out of touch now and my daughter's not there, so tell me about that.
So Ireland did go through certain economic woes, and so basically, obviously there was a global economic crisis. Ireland was hit by that and suffered a little bit more because of we had an over-reliance on property. So effectively we've recapitalised our banks. The government are four years into a 5-year strategy to get out of the crisis that we were in. And so in effect we're probably 4 years ahead of any other European country that had the same issues as Ireland at the time. So on the flip side of that, what actually has been very positive for us, all the fundamental reasons that why Ireland is the most attractive place to do business. So we have a very well educated workforce that remains the same. Education is still free. So we've one of the highest levels of participation in third level education in the OECD.
Wow.
We still have a very young, talented workforce. We have a huge cluster of multinational companies that have really multicultural, very dynamic, cross-functional teams carrying out customer support, sales, and engineering, and so on for Europe. That cluster is still there. We still have a 12.5% corporate tax rate, a very good R&D tax credit regime. All those fundamental reasons why Ireland is such a great place to do business remain. And because of the recapitalisation and refinancing of the country, actually our costs have come down quite a bit. So labour costs are down by about between 15 and 20% in certain locations across the country, and also property prices have fallen between 30 and 70%. So actually Ireland is now more attractive for companies that are looking to locate in a European city. Which is fantastic. We've had some of the busiest years of inward investment. The last 2 years have been more, we've seen more job projects, new name companies coming into Ireland, and large expansions from companies like PayPal, Salesforce, Symantec, taking advantage of those reasons. So
I've always admired the policies that come out of the Irish government. When I first got to Ireland, you were the biggest software producer in the world.
Yes, second largest exporter of software in the world.
Yeah, it didn't last, unfortunately. It was a rapid downhill slide. But as you said,
number 2 in the world, which is pretty good for a small country.
Oh, amazing! And obviously the whole world suffered, so it's not surprising. And I also have noticed since I've been here over the last 3.5 years that Ireland has really given incredible support to the startup ecosystem in Ireland, and I've been in contact with David Smith here, who was in Enterprise Ireland, and really heard some fabulous stuff. So I love that they're always a bit ahead of the rest of the world. Is it that if you've got Irish genes, you're just smarter?
Oh, that's, well, we can't say that now, but there's statistics out there somewhere that probably say it. Yeah, you can say it. But in fairness, like there is a really good, so we, as I said, focus on international companies. Our sister agency, Enterprise Ireland, they are one of the most active VCs in Europe. They made 100 investments last year in Irish companies. And so because of that, we've seen a really good ecosystem involved. So you see really talented people rise up through the ranks of these multinationals, and they're going out setting up their own companies, and there's a really nice vibe particularly in Dublin, but in other cities around the country as well. And we just want to keep continuing to drive that. We are working with the National Treasury Management Association, so they've actually invested in some funds. So we've got international VCs coming to Ireland, like Benchmark, Polaris, and Draper Fisher. All have funds in Ireland as well, accessing those funds. So we're just continuing to try and drive that ecosystem and make sure Ireland remains the most attractive place in Europe to do business.
Well, congratulations on our smarts and on Ireland Smarts.
Okay, well, great. Thank you very much.
Lovely to meet you.
You too.